Vertigo Edizioni presents Una vita di uomini, written by Ciahnan Darrell. This book narrates through a meta-literary style in three distinct eras the parallel stories of Bo and Parker, Tori and Tolan, and Sarah and Michael. Parker's love for Bo is one-sided, contended with the importance and uniqueness of an independent life and an established journalistic career. Values too important to be put in second place. This narrative trail encounters the lives of two young girls, best friends, athletes, who we realize they are extremely similar to each other. The common denominator in the intertwining of these four lives is the theme of discovery, the idea of knowing what for a long time had proven nominal. In a shocking way, the story of another couple bursts into the narrative, the one formed by Sarah and Michael. Today, we have the chance to meet the author of this book, Ciahnan Darrell. So let's welcome him. Hi, Ciahnan, how are you?
Doing well. How about yourself?
Thank you for accepting our invitation. We are really curious to know something more about this book. So first of all, let's say that it is published in Italian. So tell us something more about this book and above all, why you decide to publish it in Italian.
Italy has a very rich literary tradition. And while I'm not an expert in it, I know enough to know that there's some dynamic works going on in Italy today in the literary world. And given that, I think the country is prepared to deal with a novel that can be challenging and invigorating.
So what was the original inspiration to put up the plot of this book? Where does the idea come from?
Well, I was raised by women. My mother and my aunt raised me directly, and my grandmother was a big influence in my life. And I got to college, and I started to look around, and I came to recognize that women lived under a different set of rules. They had different limitations that were imposed upon them by society. And so I wanted to investigate that. And what happened was the characters stepped forward and offered to take me on this journey to see what it meant to be a woman and to live in a quote-unquote man's world, what it would take for them to claim their lives as their own rather than giving in to society's dictums, for instance, by becoming a homemaker and marrying.
This is really magic, isn't it, when you start writing a book and then it's the book that has the power on the author. It's really crazy. But talking about the readers, so the final goal for our book, what is the target public that we can define for this book?
The target audience is really women, women who want to feel seen, I hope, and who want to dig into their experience through a lens that is at once familiar, but also rarely offered or discussed. And my hope is that in reading this book, women can realize their own power and recognize that there are people in the world who see that women's lives are every bit as dynamic and every bit as well-rounded and vibrant as men's.
What was the most challenging moment, the most challenging part to put on words during your writing process? Can you recall?
Well, I can certainly recall one of them, and it's the love scene between Tolan and Tori. Being a straight white male, it's a perspective that is not familiar to me. And so I had to work very hard not to turn it into an example of the male gaze in which I was writing a man's fantasy about lesbian love rather than an actual moment of connection and intimacy unfolding between two fully rendered characters.
Just to conclude this wonderful chat that we're having, is there anything that you want to tell your Italian readers now that you have the chance to?
Well, first, I'd just like to thank each and every one of you, because you didn't have to pick up this book. And so the fact that you did, the fact that you decided to give an American author a chance in translation means the world to me. I do think there'll be some insights into the American ethos, the American psyche in this book. And I think that you'll recognize some of your own society's dynamics in the book as well. So ultimately, I guess I would encourage you to be ready for some big emotions and recognize that life consists of the highs and the lows and is every bit as dynamic and incredible as you want it to be.
Thank you very much, Ciahnan, for your time again, for joining us, and of course, best luck with your book.
Thank you very much.
Una vita di uomini by Ciahnan Darrell is now available in bookstores and digital platforms. It's a publication by Vertigo Edizioni.